Introduce Jim. I met Jim, I think, in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And it was through a golf tournament that he and his friends and neighbors at Foxboro community were putting on to fundraise for HopeSpring. So I met him as a golfer. I learned that he's actually quite a astute golfer, and he's involved with, I'm not going to say it correctly, but Golf Ontario, measuring the golf courses and the changes in them as the earth evolves and the trees grow and stuff like that. Very technical. So he is elite. So two things. I feel pretty special that I got to golf with him. And I had at the time very old clubs that were not very expensive when I bought them 25 years prior to that. So he did encourage me to ask for golf clubs for a birthday gift one year, and that has since happened. But Jim, you got involved with HopeSpring not because of the golf and not because of the golf tournament fundraising, but a whole different reason, and it was the person you love. Can you tell me a little bit about your story and what brought you through our doors here?
The story goes back to a number of years ago, and I think it was probably 2018, somewhere around in there. My wife was diagnosed with cancer, and she became very, very intense in terms of what she was and who she was. And so we started going to Caregiver Hospital, to the cancer center, where she went for treatment. And one of the things I've noticed that I think maybe we need to talk about too is the fact when you walked into the cancer center, there were huggy pillows there.
Mm-hmm.
And what I didn't realize was that many of those huggy pillows were made by the ladies who live in Foxboro Green.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that we didn't know. Nancy had one of those huggy pillows, and they were so helpful to her when she was going through this treatment. But both of us are very involved in our church, and so we have a lot of support there, a lot of support from Foxboro Green people. And that's where I first heard about HopeSpring, because one of our people, and I can't remember who it is, but one of our people there was on the board many, many, many years ago when this first started. And so we knew about HopeSpring, and that's kind of how we got it.
And so tell me a little bit about the services that you and Nancy participated in or utilized in HopeSpring.
Most of the services were, I know she got wigs.
Yeah.
And loved her wigs when she would come in here and get her wigs. She also was very involved in coming in and doing some counseling, having some counseling with some of the people, and going through what we have never been through in terms of a family, in terms of cancer. We had a very strong family and very involved family, not just immediate family, but I'm talking about the Foxboro family and the family at our church in Trinity Lutheran Church in New Hampshire. And this group of people that gathered around and helped. And I think that's what's important, is that a community comes together to assist people.
It becomes like you rally around one another really to kind of hold one another up.
Correct.
And even though you weren't directly going through the treatment yourself, that extended group of people that is family are also helping you, because you're probably Nancy's number one support. And so there's pressure on you as a caregiver.
And I think also the fact that I went with her for every one of her treatments.
Okay.
And I was there for her or with her. And I think that really helps. And I know that you have difficulty with that. And I think it really helps that you have somebody there with you.
I think so too. And you talked about the wig. So getting a wig, getting something that kind of makes you feel a little bit more like your prior self. again, brings you back to that identity that you've, connected to in the past, can be so important because, especially for women, maybe not as much for men, but I think it happens to you too, but it happens differently. Our hair can be something seems so trivial and simple, but every time we look at ourselves in the mirror, we see that. And if it's out of place or looks like it's parted wrong, we notice it about ourselves and we're so critical. And it can be that touchstone to feeling like, okay, it's something I can control, to straighten, to flatten, to curl, to make me the me I want to take to the world. And when you suddenly wake up and it's coming out and it's going away at the same time as you're going through trauma, I think it can really change how you face the world at times. So that wig can become that symbol of strength in a way too, even as a possession, but it's still a strength. Support.
And it's very interesting that just a little bit about my life since Nancy has passed away, about 4 years ago. That I was, we started up the golf tournament, and we thought, let us give back to HopeSpring. Let us try and give something back to HopeSpring. Our community, we would average maybe about 60 golfers there. The tournament is not a large community. It's not a community that is really outgoing, but it is very outgoing, but incoming also. And over the last, I think, 4 or 5 years that we've been involved in this, we've raised over $150,000 for HopeSpring so far, and it's going to continue. I've been running this golf tournament now for 25 years, and last year I said that will be my last year. I've done enough. However, I'm not getting anybody jumping forward and saying, let me take this over. So I don't want to give up on HopeSpring, and I think I will continue to do it and have a group of people do it. Because golfing is a way to bring a community together, just like HopeSpring brings people together, just like interfaith counseling brings people together. And I think that's what we need in life, is to bringing people together to love each other, care for each other, and help each other.
Yeah, it's a community-based situation, right? And I'm glad to hear that you're going to stay on with the keeping that golf tournament running, but I also 100% understand and respect that you want someone to take the baton because it's a successful.
It will happen.
Will help to keep it going longer term.
Yeah.
And then you can be their mentor to help them,
Yeah.
Plan and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is good. Can you talk to me a little bit about the challenges that you and Nancy faced throughout the duration of her cancer treatment, and specifically yourself as a caregiver?
I think the challenges that I faced was the fact that I knew that there was an end, and that was one of the big challenges. But the fact that we were able to work with other people on it too, and I think the challenge of being able to live with each other, still be together, that she wasn't involved or she didn't have to stay in the hospital for ends on end. And I think that that's what's really important, is that collaboration with her and with other people. And like I said before, the community and how it gathers.
So awesome. You had her back all the way through, and others had your back and her back together. And I think what you're talking about is that constant support, to be there, to be friends, to be loving to one another. It is so key.
And I think that I think I can look a little bit ahead, because after Nancy passed away, you live alone, and that becomes a very difficult part of your life. I think the fact that I was very involved in our church, and involved in our community and involved in this golf tournament has got me through a lot of things. But a little side story. I was golfing one day in Mitchell with a fellow from Walkerton. And I said to him, "Oh, I used to live in Walkerton." And Nancy had passed away about 3 years at this point. And I said, "I used to date a girl from Mildmay, and her dad owned the girl, and he knew her sister." I was able to get in touch with her sister and left a message. 3 days later, I got a call from Diane. We have separated and gone 2 different directions in life. And when we left Walkerton, she married a police officer, I married Nancy. We retired both about the same time. She lived in a community down near Fort Erie, and I lived in Foxboro. But what happened was, she came and saw my house and liked it, and she has now moved in with me. We are now together. We are very different. Her daughter has taken over her house, but Diane is very involved, and Diane had cancer. And so her involvement and her attitude and her positivity are the ones that keep me going, and I think needs to be pushed out for people also.
I would agree with that 100%. I think that having the connection, and I did get to meet Diane at the last tournament that I went to, and she's a lovely person. But she gets involved, and she was an organizer in that. She helped to fundraise. One of the objectives we have today for this outreach to people is to ask our community out there, if you have something that you can give, whether it's $1 or $1,000 or whatever you have that you can donate, I would urge you to please give to HopeSpring and whatever nonprofits that you feel connected to. Because every organization is having a difficult time keeping things going. And we offer programs to the community free, and we want to continue that. We love the legacy that we have built at HopeSpring. We're in our 30th anniversary this year. So we're very proud that this organization has had that stability and longevity behind us within the community, and we will continue to do that. But we need the help from those around us to ensure that we keep it going. Jim, thank you for all you've done fundraising for us.
Thank you and the team here.
I'm looking forward to golfing with you again in summer.
We'll do it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.